off, it says, "Why do you enjoy living?"
Well,
Better
that's
than the
a,
alternative.
that's a long story. Isn't it? I don't see anybody else in
It's like, wait a second. What kind of the questions are these?
here. Some of them I kind of questioned afterwards for sure. It looks like
We're
Fuzzy
getting
Bus
right to the
Company.
heart of things. We
Yep.
aren't beating around the bush anymore.
Okay, here we go. Where's my jump? That's Fuzzy's. Nobody had a gun here. I had to wait for the committee, so.
Holy schmoly.
Are those some trails up there?
No, this is in Sockeye Valley. This is,
Oh, really?
yeah, Lindsay just gave it to me. It's Limerick, and I've never seen this before. Wow. Archie's Bowling
I
Alley.
think I read a lot. They do have quite an active, group up there.
They just don't have any snow.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Such a good is. Okay, guys, we're live. So I'm going to call this January 23rd, 2025 Comprehensive Plan Committee meeting to order. I'm Peggy McDonald. We'll do roll call left to right.
John Hernan, 33 Murphy's Way.
Peg McDonald.
Kim Rollins, 49 Brock Road.
Tom Hatch, Brush Road.
Okay,
Okay,
Val's empty seat.
and the black box.
The boy in the box.
Okay, guys, so I don't think we have a lot to go over tonight, but we have 170 responses it's up to now.
170.
170,
Wow.
which I'm pretty happy. What was it on, like 90 the first time?
I don't know, but
I
I
think it
know
was
what, I think it was less than 100, but
Yeah, I think it was like 90.
that's good though. It shows
So-
participation.
They were kind enough to print us out a bunch of copies for any of y'all who want to take them and have them
Okay.
done by hand. And these are, if you want to pass these down, these are the 171 responses that we've gotten so
Thank you.
far. Dave, did you get
Yeah.
an email with these 171 responses?
Yes.
Okay, so you're looking at it with us?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna read them out loud for the people at home who don't have it.
Okay.
And we'll just go down through them. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the top 3 answers for each of the questions. 11 questions total, I think it was. And that way everybody at home can hear what's going on with the results so far. So, question number 1. Why do you enjoy living in Lyman? Select your top 3 reasons. The top 3 reasons were small town atmosphere, quality of life. The small town, I should say what the percentage is, by the way, of the 171 responses. Small town atmosphere was 81.3%. Quality of life was 64.9%. And then number 3 was access to large towns or service centers, and that was at 46.2%. Some other
surprises there.
Yeah, no surprise for sure. Some of the other responses, the open text responses were house, I don't know what that means, but privacy and low taxes.
Okay.
So question number 2, in the future, how important is it to have the following available to you? Choose all that apply. And the top 3 responses were, number 1 at 73.7% was open space and wildlife areas. Number 2 at 49.1% was improved in-town roads. And it looks like 39. The next one was bike paths or trails throughout the town. That was at 39.8%.
But that also was, there was a couple that were pretty close to
They
that.
were very close to that was combined fire, police, and rescue protection.
Yeah.
And
Very interesting, yeah.
yeah, that's pretty interesting to me for sure. And at 35.7% said a good school system.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
you would expect, I would think.
Yeah, and then a write-in was residential growth. So clearly there's that. So question number 3, blank is a serious challenge facing Lyman in the next 5 years. The top 3, the number 1 response was tax increases. The number 2 response the number 1 response, by the way, was 61.4% said tax increases. The number 2 response at 58.5% was maintaining moral character. And then 45% said maintaining open space.
I'm surprised that, well, not surprised, but need for affordable housing, I mean, did get some mentions, but not.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what I
I
thought.
think that showed up in further on down the
Maybe
line.
further down, yeah.
Plus that the connotation is taken differently
Yeah,
by
Yeah, that's
you know,
yeah,
by different people, that's all.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, right there on that, going backwards here, that question number 3, in the future, how it's important to have the following. Somebody wrote in residential growth, so clearly that's,
Yeah.
you know. But then on to question number 4, how desirable are the following for Lyman's future? The number 1 answer at 57.9% so far says limit growth to areas. 50.9% keep the town about as it is. So one kind of washes the other out. And then the next largest one is at 21.1% is village and downtown growth that is walkable.
No,
Very, very interesting to me.
100, no, encourage more commercial.
Commercial development.
Oh,
At
is that
40,
more?
23.4.
Oh, yeah, it is at 23. That's just a little
Right
more.
close.
23.4% encourage more commercial development in specified areas of town. That's actually the number 3 answer.
Yeah.
Village and downtown growth is 2 points below that at 21%.
But I think limit growth and keep town about it,
Yeah,
those are really sort of, I mean, they're not similar, but I mean,
Yeah.
they tie together, right?
I think they're opposing.
Oh, you do, why?
I do.
See, and I see them as I see all 4 of those as kind of going together. Even when, I am doing this survey, keeping town it is, but putting growth in areas like, when I was answering, thinking about growth, thinking about town, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know
That's-
that even talking to elderly parents, that was how they were thinking about it.
Yeah. Really
Yeah,
Well, that's,
interesting.
I
like
guess
want
I'm
to
not-
see growth, but want to see town staying is, but want to see growth staying in areas. Not all
Yeah,
of it.
so it
Like, that's how they
sounds to
said it.
me, the vibe that I'm getting
Means
from
different
this
things.
is that people want a little bit of growth, but they just want us to identify those areas.
Sure.
But
Which
what they
is
really
what-
want is growth not near them.
Yes, that's exactly right.
I mean, I don't know, maybe
It's true.
maybe
It's
that's
true.
not true, but
That-
I mean,
it's true,
that's,
though.
it seems that way. to some
Well, I
extent.
think it kind of goes with if they want open spaces, you can't have growth everywhere.
Yeah,
If they want,
it's gotta be, managed.
right.
Which is why
Well,
SMPDC, I mean,
Yeah.
that is the crux of why ordinance review couldn't go any further.
Mhm. Yep.
Because we have to identify those growth areas. So question number 5.
They want restaurants, question number 5.
I know, right?
Oh.
Which of the following types of commercial development would you desire for the town? Select all that apply. The number 1 answer was restaurants.
Mm,
Everybody seems to want the restaurants.
But then number 2.
Then number 2 is agricultural producers and farm retail stores. That's at 38%.
That's interesting.
Restaurants was 46.8%.
Yeah,
And then
That will be an easy spot to find. You know,
yeah, well,
I think
I mean,
because
we
that's
just-
such everybody loves that.
we just voted out contract zoning, so that pushes us towards
yeah, that
having
means,
our commercial district a little bit bigger, maybe. Maybe. I don't
well,
know.
yeah,
I mean, people want more restaurants, they'd have to go in the commercial district if we don't have contract zoning, right?
well, yeah, it depends on what's allowed in each district, but if you have more districts, there might be more, there might be some overlap areas. I don't know, it just depends, but you're right, if you don't have contract zoning, then you're constrained, I guess, say properly by whatever the zoning ordinance allows. I mean, you
Right.
can't just say, I want something else,
Right,
you've got to have it in that area,
Right.
for following the ordinance.
right.
And maybe that'll come, and maybe, it'll be interesting to see if Southern Maine addresses that at all
Yes.
in that area. It'd be
Yes.
interesting just
Yeah.
to see if they even discuss that.
And maybe that zone could be restaurants, but not limited to.
Or maybe the land use chart is gonna change altogether.
Don't give me that much.
Wasn't that wiggle room language?
Weasel word.
Weasel words. Yes, boy, that brings back memories. Good one,
Okay,
Dave.
onward and upward.
Sorry, Meg.
No, that's fine, that's fine, you're fine.
That was a good one.
Number 6, which of the following types of residential
Oh, boy,
development
here we
would you desire for the town? Select all that apply. The number 1 response at 58.5% was single-family detached homes. That is not shocking to me at all.
No, that's what we have.
And the number 2 answer, again, not shocking, is senior housing. Number 3 answer at 26.9% was none of these.
Oh, wait, there was seven,
No, single
27
family
and a half there,
duplex
the
or
second
town.
one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is a little higher, isn't it? Yep,
Yeah.
27.5, yeah. Okay,
Duplex.
so number 1 to that was single-family detached at 58.5. Number 2 was senior housing at 33.3. And number 3 was single-family attached, duplex or townhouse
Townhouse,
style. So that's
Uh,
completely not shocking to me at all.
No,
I think that's spot on. I'm not shocked by it at all. People need homes. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that want to put homes for their kids on their lots or whatever,
and that's a problem, not proper issue to be discussed.
for sure.
Here we go.
Number 7, what types of the following adult use marijuana facilities would you choose to allow in the town?
Whoa,
The number 1 answer, none of the above, was at 71.9%. The number 2 answer was marijuana stores at 20.5%. And then cultivation facilities was number 3 at 18.1%. But that was glaringly, we don't want them.
yeah,
Question
Wow.
number 8, which of the following types of regulations enacting in 2022 housing law LD 2003 did you desire for the town? Select all that apply. Number 1 answer at 47.4% was ADUs. The number 2 answer at 42.7% was none of the above. And then the third answer was duplexes at 21.1%.
I don't think that's too surprising either.
No, actually, I don't either.
And I think it just goes along with the other data. There's
Yep.
obviously a group of people that are looking for some development, but not apartment buildings and
Right,
condos
right.
and that type of thing. And other people that just want to see the town stay the way it is. And so I think that shows that split right here.
I think that all of it combined together, I think nobody wants a Westbrook. or a Scarborough
Mhm.
with the high rises, and
Mhm.
that's very obvious. But people do need housing, and
Yep.
that's very obvious from
Mhm.
these answers. So we just gotta find a way to make everybody happy. Probably not gonna happen though, but we can try. We'll give it the good old college guys.
Yep.
Number 9, which of these are important to you? Choose all that apply. Let's
Wow.
see. Wow, there's a big list here. 62.
I think the
Okay, number 1 at 67.8% is woodlands. What's the next one here?
access to ponds.
Access to ponds at 66.1%. And then is it hiking and walking trails, it looks like, at 62.6%.
Yeah. Well, there's some similarity.
Some of them are pretty close, which was like passive outdoor recreational areas at 57.3%.
Well, and really anything over 50 people answering is showing that a third or more of the people are answering in favor of
Yeah.
all of these.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's
You
You
all.
know, when you think about the number
Yeah.
of responses in
Yeah,
general.
so I don't have, okay, so I'm just gonna read all these because these were all really close.
Oh, you
None-
mean on that? Yeah, they're all-
Yeah, on that question, which of these are most important to you? Choose all that apply. So I'm just gonna read all the choices and how many people voted for that. Access to ponds was 66.1%. Woodlands was 67.8%. Marshes, I don't know that we have those, but 30.4%. Active recreational areas was 44.4%. Passive outdoor recreational areas was 57.3%. Indoor recreation areas was 21.6%.
Hmm.
Bicycle trails, 33.9%. Hiking and walking trails was 62.6%.
And that sort of matches up with passive
Yeah,
outdoor
I
recreation.
agree,
Yeah.
yep, yeah, that kind of
There's
is.
a
one I
similarity
agree.
there.
Yeah. Playgrounds is 31%. Playing sports fields was 23.4%. Swimming facilities was 21.1%. Town parks was pretty big at 40.9%. Historic sites, 26.3%. Sidebar, our data says that we do not have any historic buildings in our town. Probably not as a standard for the state, but
Mm.
for our town, we do, I'm sure. I know the church and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Unique scenic areas was 26.9%.
How do you,
Yeah, how do you?
how do you create a
Yeah,
unique
yeah.
scenic area? That was always,
You take Frank Carroll's overlook up there in Limerick. He did a
Mm.
pretty unique scenic area up there
yeah,
for
I don't know,
sure.
that's a little hard to do.
Winter access recreation is 31.6%. And then none of these was 1.8 and other was 2.9%. And somebody wrote a response in of ATV trails.
But actually, this particular one got more, this question got more, I won't say interest, but
Yeah,
than
A
some
lot.
of the other ones.
yeah, which I'm glad because they're telling us what
Shows
they
people
want.
are
I'm really happy with these results so far. Question number 10 is from the municipal services below, which do you believe are the most important? Select your top 5 priorities. And it looks like by far number 1 at 76.6% is public safety,
Yeah.
fire, police, and rescue. That's not shocking to me.
No, I think that's a,
Especially with our older population for sure.
yes, I can
Um,
understand that.
Maintenance and upgrading of roads at 60.2%. And then, education in schools is the next at 49.75.
Yeah.
I guess it's worth bringing up that trash and recycling programs did come in at 34.5%.
Yeah. we-
And libraries came in at 34.5%.
Elderly services, 38.
Mm.
Yes, yep, elderly
Elderly
services,
services.
38. Yeah, that one's straddling, but you're right, 38.6, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's telling,
which is
isn't it?
something that we've been
That's
talking
telling,
about.
for sure. Which is, they have Joe and Karen Kane are doing great with that committee so far, so. Number 11, how do you hear news about our town business events or happening? And the number one response
Really?
is 83.6% is Facebook, Instagram, or other social media. The next highest answer is town email subscription at 43.3%. And the municipal website is 34.5%.
Word of mouth comes in pretty good.
Yep. 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 And there was no other responses to that.
It's sad to think that YouTube is so low.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
We gotta spice those YouTube ones up a little bit.
Are
Get some more.
Oh,
we
boy.
open to suggestions on that?
No, I've done my part. Probably more than I should have.
So yeah, I think this survey is honestly,
Yeah,
I think it's exactly as I expected.
Yeah, I don't know that is there any big surprises here?
No, for
No.
me, there was not.
I mean, that's,
I
the
think,
trouble is that some of the, if you wanna call them goals or whatever, desires are, in some respects are, I don't know if any of them are mutually opposing. Maybe not, but.
Hmm.
Because some of these require funding, not all of them. but
Yeah.
Some require funding. And then there's the one about low taxes. So you've got low taxes,
yes,
but
that's
then
what I
if you
was-
want more services, then that usually requires, unless you can make cuts somewhere, which, shall I say, government rarely does, that it's usually an expansion of services, which usually raises taxes. So there's some.
yeah, it's
But that
really-
usually gets resolved in town meeting in a sense, because if it's too much, people won't vote for it.
I think that everybody
I would
is, that is a problem, a lot of people want these services, the trails and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and first and foremost, the public safety, the fire, rescue, all that, they want that, but they don't want higher taxes. So finding the happy medium is what you gotta do, but also I think you have to come to a spot where you realize that if we don't broaden our tax base, then everybody's taxes are gonna keep going up, whether we put
Right.
this stuff in place or not. So it's very obvious that people need housing,
And that would broaden the tax base
and
too,
that would broaden the
along with
tax
some commercial, I can't see a Costco here, but
No.
but I could see, there's some limited commercial. I
base, for
mean,
sure.
I don't know what Lyman has rather than any other town for opportunities for commercial. We have 111, which gets a lot of traffic, right? We get 35, which gets traffic, but more of the larger commercial facilities are gonna be probably in Bedford and near the turnpike and, more, that kind of thing. So. but let me-
We'd have to set up a zone for smaller commercial entities.
Mhm.
Not so much major roads, but roads that could actually handle traffic. Especially this town. I'd like to know the percentage of self-employed people in this town, which is probably
Yeah.
very high.
I bet you're
It
right.
could be, yeah. Could be.
And they should have an area to, be able to grow.
Yeah, and that, our zoning ordinance actually says that if you're a business contractor, you're supposed to go to site plan review.
You're supposed to what?
You're
Site plan
supposed to go to site plan review.
I don't remember any, I remember a number of businesses, like someone who opened a garage, as an example, and some other, but they're all fairly small businesses. I guess, the only other large one I was thinking, that I can remember off the top of my head is the one on 111 Du Bois, when they opened up their area for mulch and all that stuff. And that's, I don't know what kind of business they do, but it's a pretty large area now. And you can see it's very visible from 111, for sure.
But there's a lot of contractors in this town.
Yeah.
And a lot of, self-employed contractors that are never going to go to site plan review.
I wouldn't think so. Well, yeah, again, I don't know, I'd have to look at the ordinance, to see
Yeah.
I don't know how restricted it is.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like I was saying, the land use chart, I think, has to really be looked at. Our land use chart is really restrictive. So.
Yeah. Well, that's the overall picture we're asking Southern Maine to look at, right? I mean,
Well, not the zoning ordinance so much, but the Southern Maine is definitely looking at areas that we're supposed to be growing, which that's a good segue into the next item on the agenda is about CPC.
Oh, yeah.
And SMPDC and where we're at.
where are we?
So I just want to read to you here where we are with SMPDC. Currently, Michaela would like to come in at one of our meetings and talk to us about our data and so on and so forth. She actually said, this was the question that was posed to her regarding an email chain that between me, Michelle, and Lindsay. What's a good date to get our inventory back? So for those who don't know, inventory is the next step. And basically you have your comprehensive plan, and your comprehensive plan it combines our survey data and the demographic data. That demographic data comes from the state, and the state, they take that information from the state, SMPDC does, and they put it all together for us. Dawn's word, they combed it, or what did we say? They
No, I
fluffed
don't,
it.
I said it, but they level it, not level it, but what's it?
Yeah, smoothed it. They
Smoothing,
smoothed
they smoothed
the data. But part of that
Makes it more
smoothing process is an inventory chapter. And it's probably going to be a book that looks like this. And they basically look at what we have, what we need, so on and so forth, and they compile all this information into here. And that's where we're at right now. We are waiting for our inventory to come back from SMPDC. So the question pointedly was, what's a good date to get our inventory back? Realistically, what date is SMPDC looking at? And Michaela said, I proposed attending your December meeting with the second half of the inventory data. We've had Michaela here once already talking about our inventory, so she needs to come back again. If that works for you, what dates are we meeting in December? That was the last one. So here we are in January. We didn't have a meeting, so now we need to get her back in here. After that, the remaining inventory work, it's for the original package is going to be broken down into graphs, Word documents, which we could do in early January. Then she asked about a future land use map. Lindsay asked about a future land use map. And a future land use map is apparently done from maybe in the middle of your comprehensive plan process or towards the end. So they take all of the data and all of the surveys and they create a future land use map. That's really our goal, is to get that, because once we get that, then it all kind of comes together on that map in a nice little picture. And then from that, our ordinances follow. So that's what we're doing. And SMPDC, they're so busy, but they are going to organize that, the population, the demographics, the economy, the housing. That's all going to be put together in the inventory chapters and then that future land use map. It sounds so simple, but it is a long process.
So what is she gonna ask us for?
She's going to, who, Michaela?
Yeah, when she comes for this, for a meeting.
Right now, Michaela, well, if Michaela comes to the next meeting, she's gonna talk about the rest
Okay,
of the data.
okay.
So tonight, we're gonna make a meeting date for Michaela to come back in. And then after that, we just kind of hang back and wait for our
So
inventory.
they finish.
But in that time, they've been very insistent and saying you really should be doing what we're doing with these surveys, public meetings, inviting people in to talk about it. Michelle and I had talked about doing like a donut and coffee thing on a Saturday morning. And we really should have a nighttime meeting as well for the public to come and talk about it. I don't have a big expectation,
Well, you gotta make the effort though,
but we gotta make the effort.
give people the opportunity.
Exactly.
So, I mean, is there, why don't we just set a date for her to come in?
I think we
don't-
need to.
I am open to any date, any
I am too.
reasonable. Are we still doing second and fourth Thursdays? Or-
Yep. Yeah, well, yeah,
I mean-
and unfortunately,
Today
I don't
is-
have ORC, so I'm all screwed up on the time and all that, but let me look here, hold on. All right. So. Today is the 23rd. So. I will suggest. I am out for this weekend, but perhaps.
Well, I think both you and Michelle will be here.
Yes.
You've been doing both.
So-
legwork.
For the Michaela meeting, it
Yeah,
has to be a meeting that we're all here, obviously. So why don't we just say January 6th?
February.
Huh?
February.
February 6th.
6th.
Like, whoa.
So does February 6th, if I lob that date off to Michaela and see if it works for her, does it work for everybody here?
yeah,
Mhm.
works for me. I don't.
All right.
Yep.
So we'll say February
Yeah, you-
6th for Michaela.
Four, six.
And then as far as a meeting, so
As long as
two.
Michelle can make.
Yeah, well, she had budget tonight, so I'll check with her.
Okay.
I'll check with her. As long as it's good, I'll have her fire off an email saying that she's confirming all the dates.
Yeah.
So as far as the two meetings, we're gonna do one on the weekend morning and we're gonna do one on a weekday night.
You mean public hearings?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So, I don't know, do we want to do a Thursday night? In between, maybe?
You know,
Or we could switch it up and we could just have, when Michaela comes on the 6th, have her in the first part of the meeting.
it depends how long she's gonna take. I mean,
That's true.
I would think a public hearing if you're gonna have a public hearing, it has to be at a given time, so you can't have it as the second part of the meeting. It should be the first part,
Right.
because otherwise people get frustrated.
And I'm concerned about using those actual words. Like, I think
What
we
do you
should like call it something else other than a public hearing.
Oh,
Because I don't want people thinking that we're, having a public hearing to put something on a ballot.
I would say a public discussion or
Yeah, public
something
discussion.
like that, because it's not a hearing,
Yeah.
because you're not going over like a set of,
Right.
a application for a business or something like that. That's a public hearing.
Exactly.
Like the planning board does. But
Right.
this was more of a discussion.
A discussion to get people to come and bring their
Yeah.
thoughts and ideas and all that. So, let's call it a public discussion and can we do, how about the 30th? I'm just gonna lob that date out. It's a Thursday, it's a week from today. Let's start there.
And if you want, I'm available.
You guys,
And this is for what?
30th, this is for a
40.
public discussion, like at night, 6 o'clock. And
Something's hitting me that the room is booked on the 30th, so you might wanna check that.
And
the,
Check with Lindsay.
Well, how about the
And my only
calendar?
concern is 7 days enough notice to get out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Where,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So let's go
No, yeah,
into
that's
February a
too
little bit.
fast. That's too fast. That's a good point.
Yeah, so we put February 6th as Michaela Day. So how about we go out to the 13th or the 20th, one or the other. That's a Thursday again. Either of you have any preference for either of those days? Any?
I don't think it makes, to me, it doesn't make any difference. I don't know what,
I think we should try to go for the 13th, just so that we're trying to
keep
get it
moving along.
done and
Mm.
move along.
and I think that would be good. We have all of Michaela's information fresh, like
Right.
in our own minds.
Exactly. So I'll put this as tentative and I'll share them all with Michelle. And if it doesn't work with either Lindsay because the room's booked or whatever, then we'll just circulate an email for everybody. February 13th for public discussion. And then a Saturday morning, I know that's really hard. It's very hard for me. I work a lot on weekends.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna lob out, to keep it consistent, I'm gonna lob out the 15th. Is that okay with everybody else?
Yeah,
That's a Saturday morning and I'll talk to
it's
Lindsay.
gonna be a discussion.
Yep, for a public discussion, because we want to have a night and a morning. And Michelle thought it best to have it on a Saturday, so that afforded people more opportunity to come.
Maybe 10 o'clock? Or-
Yeah, I think 10 o'clock. Yeah. So I'm gonna lob out the 15th
Okay.
for public discussion Saturday morning. Okay, so today is the 23rd. That means, yeah, so the 6th, yeah, that is our next meeting date. So hopefully Michaela can make that.
Yeah, it normally is.
Yep. And that's all I got, guys.
I had, let's see, there was two things I was gonna ask about. One was, we do talk about emergency management here, and I know that the fire chief is still a member of the ORC. or not.
Yeah, I think everybody's still members.
She haven't been meeting.
We're not having meetings, and the last time I heard, they were going to join us in our meetings whenever they could.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, no, where I was going with that was, I was thinking, I mean, I know this, I don't know that it's specifically covered in the comprehensive plan, but I was thinking about all these, God forbid, all these fires out in California.
Mhm.
And maybe it's a question for Michaela too, but is there, and again, that would be more, in my opinion, that maybe would be more on a countywide basis, but, you know, what does Southern Maine feel about incorporating emergency management into the comprehensive plan?
I
I
haven't,
mean, I don't mean every detail, but I'm saying.
no.
broad.
Well,
You have the expert at the end of the table.
yeah, I know. I was just getting into it. The chief is the emergency management director. I'm the deputy emergency management director
Okay.
with him. We need to develop a plan for the town. One does really not exist at this moment, and we
For
are.
both towns, really, I guess.
Yeah, but we're working on towards that. I'm not so sure it'd be part of an comprehensive plan.
I don't know, I'm just
I
wondering
think-
whether it should be referenced or.
Oh, a reference, probably.
I don't mean that, no, I don't even mean to imply that, I mean, I think you've got to leave that leadership to the fire department primarily, as emergency management, because they have the expertise and also they have the equipment.
Correct.
But maybe there's some things the town could do. I mean, I don't even know whether it's practical to say fire breaks and things like that, because we have so many woods around here. But you look what happened in California, and it appears that in some areas they neglected things. And
I'm sure an overview
it's something.
will be proper to put in there, and then the details will be in a separate
Plan.
Yeah, and it's something that would be,
The plan
separate.
reference.
You wouldn't want, I don't mean to imply at all that you would tie that up with a comprehensive plan.
No.
Because you want to, that's something that would be a living document presumably. But I
Well,
just sort of
in
bring it up.
discussion with, just kind of give the chief a shout out, where he's been trying to put these hydrants in, these
Yes,
dry hydrants. I mean, that's all part, it's a difficult thing for him to do. He's making progress on it. It costs money,
right.
and, the whole process to go through to get permission to put a hydrant in. But that's sort of the things that they're looking at in California and,
Oh, yeah.
the conspiracy theories and all that. But he is doing, his due diligence on that. And maybe that's a springboard. Unfortunately, you in emergency management, you learn from other people's mistakes
Yes,
and their misfortunes. And if that comes out of, the amount of water that's available, and maybe people look at things a little bit differently on where we're going to put these hydrants and what have you. Where are we going to evacuate people to? But, there's a whole thing that goes along with it. So, yeah.
and maybe
All part of
it
Scary.
should tie
Yeah, it
into
is.
York County plan, but
Well, yeah, we go to York County EMA, and it's all it will tie into that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I guess, is Roger Hooper still the county emergency manager?
No, no, is it Rod?
Roger.
Roger.
Yeah, Rod. Yeah,
Roger, well,
Yeah.
Roger.
Yep.
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But that was one thing I wanted to mention, and,
As a matter of fact,
Oh, wow.
where's that from?
There you go. There it is.
it was from Maine Association of Local Emergency Management.
Yeah.
So-
Because I read about, really worries me, but, I mean, it doesn't worry me,
It
but-
worries me.
But I'm saying about the people, especially further north in Maine, where they don't have, some of them don't have any, they have very sparse emergency medical, for
Mhm.
example. I mean, when you need it, right?
Yeah.
But so I just think
You're
that
good until you're not.
you're good until you're not, and when you need a problem, when you got a problem, you gotta have, but I don't know, any town around here could handle large fires like we're seeing out there. That could be something that could happen to us too.
And of course, we're kind of famous for the fire 47,
Right.
so we have
I mean,
history.
Yeah, that I think of that all the time when I'm in the woods out back.
Yeah.
Like, it's been so dry.
Yeah.
It's dry,
I mean,
so dry.
one little spark, and that duff is going up. Like,
Yep.
it's really kind of scary for sure. We've been so
I don't know
dry,
what else, I mean,
and now we have no snow.
yeah, we need more
Yeah.
snow, we definitely need, well, you never know, we may get more than you think,
That's
sooner or
true.
later.
That's true, but it is really.
That's
scary,
okay.
Ron.
Well, the other thing I was gonna mention, if it's not too, it's not to drag it out too much here, but, the ordinance review committee now is sort of waiting for the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Are there any other ordinances, that they could be working on maybe in parallel? What I was thinking of in particular was, this street ordinance. I mean, that was, how can I say this nicely? There's no good way. I think
There
there's-
isn't. Just say
there's
it.
there's some issues with the
Yes.
street ordinance, and I mean, on the planning board, honestly, I don't remember getting much involved in this street ordinance, except we had a case, a case on a private road that was off a private road, and the way you read if you read the wording exactly, people who wanted to expand there would have to have used pretty expensive material. And okay, say, well, it's in the ordinance, that's what you do. But it was, so you'd have a private road that was off a private road, and the new private road would be really nice, but it would feed into another private road that finally worked its way over to a town road. But that would just, but I'm just saying, I think that's one area that needs review. Maybe, it's not the only one, but maybe there's some of these splinter ordinances that, not zoning, because zoning is gonna have to tie with comprehensive plan. Maybe there's some splinter ordinances that could be reviewed and upgraded if people are interested in doing that. I don't know if they are.
Well, that's the thing. We've talked to Blue, honestly.
Yeah.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, that future land use map drives everything. Because if we change zoning, that could very well change the street ordinance.
Well, it could. It could.
And you know, it's kind of like this trickle down effect where we were just cats chasing our tail constantly, like,
Yeah.
oh, well, what if we do this? And what if we do this? Well, you know, and it was really hard. And ultimately I said, "Yep,
It's not worth it. Huh?
I'm out, I'm gonna be done trying until I have, and for me, I want to know that this is what the town wants and what the town wants. The survey to me has been great for that. because-
Except there's not too much new in the survey. I mean, in the responses, right? Nothing surprised you,
I wouldn't say anything surprised me, no.
which basically says, survey, big picture says, most people sort of want this town to stay the way it is, but they
Well-
would like some new things.
Yeah,
right?
they try,
So
finding that middle of the road, it's.
Mhm.
And
But at
also
least it's the voice of the people,
putting
not,
taxes, keep
Right,
taxes
not
low.
Peggy's thoughts or my thoughts.
That's exactly right, and that's what's important to me. When I'm gonna put something on the ballot, I wanna say, look, I took the facts and the data, and I put them together. And by the way, we had this many hearings, we had this many discussions publicly, and, you know, John,
I'm so
that
old, I
last-
don't have any thoughts.
you were there at the last election. People were
Oh,
so
I know.
confused.
Well, that
And
was a shame.
I am concerned
Shame.
about that. I didn't, at the end of the day, we were talking about, okay, let's do the street ordinance or do one other thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But if we're going to present a comprehensive plan at the next election to be voted on, I am not going to present them with
Bunch of other
changes
ones.
to our zoning ordinances or any other ordinances that's gonna confuse them even more, especially if they're not congruent. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there was a lot on the ballot last time no, I mean, not, the state had the ranked choice voting, which I thought, you know, to me, that's a little confusing. But then, all the initiatives that we had, and plus the other, all the stuff in the state, and plus the fed, you know, all that, so that's a lot there.
Yeah.
But it was disappointing to have people saying, coming up and saying, now, what's on this? Can't tell you, can't comment.
Yeah. And it's really hard because you just can't force people to educate themselves.
No.
You know, and there's
Well-
not, somebody had suggested a Cliff Note version, and it's really hard to thread that needle between educating someone and swaying someone.
Yeah.
You know, because you have to go
The Cliff
right
Note
down the
version
middle of
is,
the road.
this thing really is bad, don't vote for it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly, exactly,
No,
you know?
no, I
You can't, how do you explain that to somebody, you know? You say, question number one, do you want to get rid of contract zoning? Well, there's really, if you don't
There's two
know
sides
what
of that.
contract zoning is,
There's two sides of it.
yeah, but if you don't know what contract zoning is, how do you get a Cliff Notes version of what contract zoning
Exactly.
is?
You gotta, yeah,
You know?
that's a tough one.
So it's been really hard, and I think that this is the way to go. I don't think
Okay,
we should
all right.
change any zones until
Well, I wasn't suggesting,
I
I
mean-
was talking about other ordinances.
ordinances rather
Yeah.
than not zones, but ordinances.
And I think down the road, when it comes down to what is being presented to the voters, I think we have to plan ahead and think about how are we going to educate the voters? And look at other towns that do end up presenting large things to the voters at once.
Hmm.
You know, I think about like a York, when I saw, they all got mailings this year. There was a lot on their ballot. Every resident did get a mailing of the ballot with places
Wow.
they could reference the information. And it was sent out 6 weeks prior to voting.
Yeah.
So, and then at that point, you say you had that information and there's not much more we can do.
And I feel
And they
like,
had public hearings that they could then go
Right.
get more information.
I feel like
We do need to read it more to make sure that if we're actually writing it, by the time it comes back from the lawyer, we need to read it again and make sure that we understand it. Because when we have a question, you got to scratch your head saying, here we are, we're involved, and we're having a hard time figuring out what is that? How did that go again?
Yeah.
Well, if we're trying to remind ourselves what is on the ballot,
see,
somebody who isn't a part of the process
They wouldn't know a thing.
isn't going to have a clue.
I felt,
That's where the confusion comes from, I believe.
but don't you feel like for the last election, we really tried. I felt like we did anyway.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The effort was
To put
hundred and
that
ten percent.
information out there.
That's not what I mean. But I think
I
the
don't think it was lack
way,
of effort, but there was an awful lot of material on that ballot. I mean,
Yeah.
There was.
being presented at one time to a voter.
Well, absolutely. But there was a lot of work done over the year by a lot of people that sit in this room doing the
Yeah.
work and then presented it in public hearings and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
And if you want to be progressive, you're going to limit you have 10 things versus 5 things. I mean, now you're not moving ahead. I
Well,
mean,
also, I mean.
it's a tough one.
Not to beat a dead horse, but the charter.
yes, you are. I can tell
charter
already
does-
you're beating
The
that
charter
horse.
does restrict the timing now, and for good reason. I mean, I personally like it going to an election or something that has more people involved, rather than maybe just June where you have a few people. But that sort of tends to maybe bring more stuff together, especially if the state has a bunch of stuff. So if it's all in one, if you have if you have federal, state, and then town, you've got quite a bit of stuff.
it was a lot. Yeah. No doubt.
It's a lot, but again, that's when the people show up.
Well, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
They do show, they did show. That was
Oh,
evident.
yeah, they did.
That was a good election, I thought. from that
It was.
perspective.
There was a
From the
lot.
turnout.
We had
Yeah.
so many
It was a lot.
registrations.
Anyway, I don't want to distract.
And then the
everybody.
mailing, when you mentioned mailing, that's just so cost prohibitive.
It is
And
now.
yeah,
What did it go up to? 75 cents, is it now?
oh, I haven't heard that one.
I mean, yes, we
Oh.
do have EDDM, but when you're talking about 6 articles and a thing to mail out, you're not talking about 3 pieces of paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're mailing out a
Yeah.
lot of information, and that is very expensive.
That's gonna go.
Yeah, that's gonna go right in the trash. And, it's so hard I prefer mail because, first of all, I know that there are a lot of older residents in our town
Mhm.
that aren't gonna take this survey, that's for damn sure, because it's online. But, if we could mail that out, I would do it in a heartbeat, but it's so expensive.
Yep.
Actually, there are some people that aren't on Facebook. You know that?
What? What? Are you kidding
You're
me,
looking at
Don?
one.
You're a better man for it, I guess.
No,
Yes, you are.
I tell you, actually went on Facebook once or Facebook Marketplace to sell something, and I said, this is stupid. And I got trying to get off of it.
Oh,
Was like
Oh, yeah.
you sure? Are you really sure? Are you really, really, really sure you want it? Yes. I finally got off of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anyway, but people, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't use I use the internet, but I don't use it every second. It's not.
Yeah.
My phone tells me the time.
Good discussion, Peg.
Yes,
Great
I
meeting.
think we're good. I think that's all we have
Yeah.
for tonight. I don't
Okay, so
got anything else.
Nope.
action, then we're gonna have 2 meetings.
Yep,
Thank you for
next one
sitting in.
is going to be the 6th, as long as Michaela can make it. If Michaela can't make it, I'll let y'all know via email. Probably
You're gonna check for any interferences with
Yep,
other.
with the town, yeah. I'll email both Michelle and Lindsay tomorrow morning and make sure that those dates jive for everybody.
Well, thank you for your effort on this.
yeah.
course.
Thank you.
All right. Everybody adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye, Dave.
So on.
Bye-bye.
Stay warm.
Mate.
I think we're gonna warm up a little
It
tomorrow,
was what,
guys.
49 degrees down there the other day.
A little bit.
Well, I just hope we don't need more.